Okay? And as I commented, is that nobody knows what the price of a McDonald's hamburger is, nor do they know where the cheaper one is. Okay? And furthermore, you don't see any other prices. You just see gasoline. Okay? Now, you buy the gasoline before you use it. Okay? Electricity, you do what? You pay for it after you use it. Okay? You're upset at somebody because the price of a gallon of gasoline is too high. Okay? But most of you may not even know how much money you spend every time you fill up. Because you just focus on the dollars per gallon. Okay? On your electric bill, all you focus on is what you pay per month. Most people don't even know what the units are. Okay? And to be honest with you, the units of a gallon are meaningless units too. Because a gallon of gasoline contains more energy than a gallon of ethanol. Yet people will say, okay, what's the price of a gallon of ethanol versus the price of a gallon of gasoline? On a volume basis, you can compare that. But that's not what the car needs. The car needs the energy value. You're going to find out that on a gallon of ethanol, you can only go 67% for the same distance that you went on a gallon of gasoline. But we buy it by gallon. Okay? Meaningless units. It has nothing to do with energy. Kilowatt hours do. Okay, well now what's a kilowatt? Well, if you think of 10 100-watt light bulbs, that's 1 kilowatt. If you run it for an hour, those 10 100-watt light bulbs, you will in Florida pay 11 cents to run those 10 100-watt light bulbs per hour. That's what a kilowatt hour is. Okay? Pretty cheap when you think about it, considering what it does. Okay? Now, this map here shows you that the prices of electricity vary throughout the United States. I don't have Puerto Rico up here, but I think Puerto Rico is somewhere around 26 cents. You'll see that Hawaii is out at 24. It's an island. You have to ship everything there. Okay? By the way, we're a peninsula, and we don't have any of this stuff either, so it all gets shipped to us somehow too. Okay? So that's part of the reason why we pay a little bit more. Right? Part of the reason is that we also chose to run a little bit cleaner in our production of electricity than, say, the other southern states. You notice we're 11.2, and they're all in the 9s. They run more coal. Okay? West Virginia is at 6 cents, about half of what we pay for electricity. West Virginia is very close to Connecticut, where I used to be. It's up at 18 cents. Okay? So that's like people in West Virginia paying $1 a gallon for gasoline, and people in Connecticut paying $3 a gallon for gasoline. Now, if that was really true, that analogy I just gave you, there would be revolt in this country. Why, it's not fair. They pay 3 times, we pay for it. But this is what we're doing with electricity. Okay? Now, Utah's out here at 8 cents. Okay? Typically, the states that have coal have the cheapest electricity. They make coal. Maybe they have the dirtiest air. But they keep all the money at home. Because it's their coal. We don't have any of that. So when we buy this stuff, we ship the money away. And the jobs that go with that money and all those other kind of things. Right? And keep in mind, it's not level. We pay different prices for electricity. Now, when we talk about these alternative energies that are going to be cheaper, okay, it's relative to whatever. Okay? There is more solar energy being used in New Jersey than there is in Florida. As I'll show later on. It's not because New Jersey has more sun than we do. They pay more for electricity. So they were looking for alternatives. It's too cheap. You walk into an airport, or if you were to plug, I plug in my laptop in this building. Nobody arrests me. They should. I'm stealing electricity. It must be free. That's the problem. Clean air is free. Perfect health is free. Okay? That's what we want. It isn't. You pay for it. So has society figured out where the values are? So we've got to start with that first. Now, before I go into how we make electricity, let's talk about how we use it. In the United States, 37% of all electricity is used in your home. In Florida, 51% of all the electricity is used. So we could build another nuclear power plant, or we could fix your house instead. No, I'd rather fix my house than own a timeshare of a nuclear power plant. That's what you're doing. Every time you write a check, it pays for the building of the nuclear power plant, pays for the generation of electricity, and so on and so forth. Or you keep the money in your own house and fix it. Okay? And if I had my chores done these, shovel-ready infrastructure things, I fix your house. And I put a lot of people to work doing it. Okay? 51%. And to give you context, Florida Power and Light makes 50% of all the electricity in Florida. So if we magically were to make all our homes zero energy homes, I'm shutting down all kinds of power plants. And the interesting thing is, who would fix the home? All the current unemployed construction workers. Ooh, this sounds like a pretty good deal. Unfortunately, we're not talking about it, but we're getting there. Now, what does your home do? Well, okay, here's some numbers and all kinds of other things. Okay, spend a reasonable amount of electricity on it. If you're up in the Northeast or somewhere else like that, use natural gas and fuel oil for making heat, and so on and so forth. But I think this is the one that I really want to point out to you. Unlike your car, your house outlives you. Now, you quite often get 30-year mortgages, okay? And, you know, quite often you even find selling mortgages and you move in and out of houses before the mortgages are paid off. Okay, but houses last a long time. In the year 2050, 2/3 of the houses will be ones that are already here today. So what we need to be doing is spending time fixing houses. Once I fix them and they don't use energy, they may not use any energy for the next 100 years. Interesting thought. Okay. There's a lot of interesting things we can do in Florida. This is a Florida context. Well before the economy went south, we were building about 190,000 homes a year in Florida. We could build our homes a lot better. What does the code mean? It's the least legally allowable building by law. So I built it to code, which means I built the worst possible law building I can get away with. That's what it means. Okay? Now, somebody else built it. I mean, they're very good builders, don't get me wrong, but that's what the code means. Now, somebody else builds the building and you operate it. What's the incentive for him to put in better insulation? What's the incentive for him to make it more energy efficient and do all these things? His costs go up, and you want granite countertops and plasma TVs. You don't want more insulation. You can't see it. Okay? There's a disconnect there. Okay, so we've got to get through some of those issues. But to give you a flavor about that, this is all practical. If we took our existing homes, and these are single-unit existing homes, it's 8.5 million if we include multiple family dwellings. You can go through and very effectively improve the energy efficiency of these buildings, or these homes, by 30%. And if I do it on an equivalent cost of electricity, that's as if instead of paying 11.2 cents, I'd pay 5 cents a kilowatt hour. Okay? Now the problem is, to fix my house, it's an upfront cost problem. Now you can lease cars, you can buy them. You're going to buy them, you got to come up with money right away. Or you can write those checks every month, which apparently nobody can do right now. There's rooms for that. These are all the little things that you can do. This is a slide that I've been using longer even than the new Secretary of the Department of Energy, but Stephen Chu uses this slide as well. This shows the electricity per person used in the United States as a function of the time. And you notice back here in the 1960s, up until the first Arab oil embargo, we were all sort of using more electricity per person as time went on. Okay. Now, from this period on, California went flat. Okay. And the rest of the United States and Florida kept going up. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, but to do better things and to make things, you've got to use more energy. Well, California's economy, up until today, had been doing very well, and obviously they weren't using more electricity per person. So they found a way to do it. Now, what does this mean, though? Well, if you go over here, the difference between that number and that number, this is per person now, is 5,000 kilowatt hours. At 12 cents a kilowatt hour, that's $600. At 17 million people, that's $10 billion a year. So we spend $10 billion a year on electricity because our residents are built like crap. This is what it means. Okay? All right. We can keep the money here, too, because I'm paying for the electricity of which none of the fuels that make